Got a couple of subjects I want to talk about before we wrap up the program today. One of those is an energy story that I think is worthwhile hearing about because it shows just the madness of the American left as they continue to try to hammer square pegs into round holes, at no matter what cost. 944, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. But first, just quickly, wrapping up what we were talking about a few minutes ago. Cal Thomas had this posted this morning at Facebook. Happened to see it as I was drinking my morning coffee. And he linked to a website from it's an Islamic website.
من جديد تعود المساجد في بلجيكا إلى واجهة الجدل بعد اقتراح
Now, just in case you don't understand any of that,
لكي تقام الصلاة على أرواح ضحايا هجمات بروكسل.
The fellow is explaining that the imams in Belgium have refused to pray for the victims of the bombing there because, quote, they aren't Muslims, unquote. Hey, it's just that, that's that subhuman stuff over there. We don't pray for that. We should bring a few more thousand of those people to the Magic Valley. Got to quickly mention to you, I am going to talk about energy, and it will be getting a little hotter, and that relates to one of our upcoming commentaries here in just a moment. But first, speaking of that, Tint Lady has been with us for about a year now on the air. Tint Lady helps you on those hot days and helps you save some energy by putting window tints in your home, your office, your automobile. When you've got these tints all over your home and your office, and it's really hot, it reduces the heat coming through that convection, which means the air conditioning unit works a little less, which means that you don't have to use as much electricity, and eventually you will pay for the cost of those window tints. Getting the estimate done doesn't cost you a thing. It's free. You can give them a call at 736-8469 or go online at tintladyidaho.com. Locally owned and operated, nearly 25 years in business, a new location, 127 Filer Avenue in Twin Falls. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday by appointment only. And remember, don't squint, get tint. Call it 946. This is a story that I happened to find at the Daily Signal today, a couple of stories, in fact, related. Taxpayers are footing the bill for a solar project that doesn't work. Now, as the crow flies, this is taking place in California, probably not that far from us. You could drive it in about 10 hours, I suppose. Not that you'd want to, but you could. As every 10-year-old who ever got a sweater for a birthday present has been told, it's the thought that counts. That's how the writer starts this story out. The latest example is the $2.2 billion Ivanpah solar thermal plant in California. Ivanpah, that is no relation to Donald Trump. They use sunshine to boil water that then drives conventional turbines. There's none of these mirrors or collectors or anything else. A couple of mirrors, I guess, because it's not panels, but it's the object that the sun bounces from the mirrors and boils the water, and that does the traditional work. But here's the story. It's owned by Google, NRG Energy, and BrightSource, who have a market cap in excess of $500 billion, and yet you're giving your tax money to these big high rollers in order to do this. They're not taking the risk, you are. It received $1.6 billion in loan guarantees from the Department of Energy. Paid 4 to 5 times as much per megawatt hour as natural gas and power plants. Is paid 2 to 3 times as much per megawatt hour as other solar power producers. Has burned thousands of birds to death. Has delayed loan repayments. Is seeking another $500 million in grants to help pay off the guaranteed loans. Burns natural gas for 4.5 hours a day each morning to get its mojo going. Ivanpah has fallen woefully short of its production targets. The manager's explanation for why production came up 32% short is the weather, although it is not at all clear how a 9% drop in sunshine causes a 32% drop in production. More bizarrely, the writer says, the natural gas used to get the plant all warmed up and ready each day would be enough to generate over 1/4 of the power actually produced from the solar energy. Well, I guess if you object to that too, you're a hater because you hate the climate and the planet and all of that. So again, these very wealthy companies, all connected, well connected to the Democrat Party, getting your tax dollars, and now they want a grant to turn around and pay those tax dollars back. Which means more of your tax dollars. And they claim they may not be able to pay them back because their project doesn't work. Well, I got more on this. Same publication, the Daily Signal. President Obama has made a couple of about faces when it comes to offshore drilling in the Atlantic. After coming under pressure from environmental activists, his White House has denied access to energy resources and job creation by prohibiting offshore drilling. in the Atlantic Ocean, which apparently there's a lot of oil out there. In 2010, the Obama White House lifted the ban on drilling on the East Coast, only to reverse the decision after the Gulf oil spill. Then, last year, the administration released draft offshore drilling plans that would have opened up offshore drilling from Delaware to Georgia. Only 10 months away from the implementation of that, the Department of Interior has reversed its stance and now plans to disallow any leases for offshore drilling off the Atlantic coast. Just as he did with the coal industry, the president is restricting access to affordable, reliable energy. And then I go to this from the Washington Times, Chris Horner, the global warming industry's RICO gambit. And yes, goes into some detail how Loretta Lynch from the Justice Department has admitted that they have discussed bringing RICO charges against the people they call climate deniers. Now, the thing is, we mentioned earlier, you've got a mainstream media that believes in all of this. The mainstream media is so hung up that, 100 years from now, we may have saved the planet because we ended up getting rid of coal and oil and all of those things. Yet they don't have any interest in all of the people who are put out of work because of these new energy plans. Why? Because they're on the same agenda that the president happens to be. And we're supposed to feel sorry when one of them gets grabbed at a Donald Trump rally? 10 minutes away from 10 o'clock. Bill Colley with you. It's 41. You're listening to News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com, and you're on the air.
Hi, good morning. I happened to be up last night, and I saw that project on the news, the one you talked about that doesn't work, and it's huge. This thing is huge. It's out in the desert, and it's got two huge towers, and they've got panels in circular around it. I'll bet you they take up about 300 or 400 acres each.
And aren't you glad you're helping fund it?
Oh, it's great, And the other thing is I don't know if your listeners know this or not or pay attention, but George Soros is funding Kasich's campaign.
That would not surprise me. Not in the least.
It's absolutely true. He's it's so far I think he's donated about $400,000.
Well, we should. There are numerous. Thank you for the call. Numerous reasons to dislike John Kasich. We shouldn't hate anybody, but if you want to hate somebody, maybe Kasich's a guy to hate on. The man is just simply wasting his time and everybody else's time. But the goal is, of course, to foul this all up. Some people actually believe it'll be better for the Republican Party to have a contested convention, because then you actually may get some people who want to watch it. Because who watches conventions right now? Because everyone knows what's going to happen. They're also carefully scripted. It's a show designed to make it look like something's happening when nothing's happening. A couple of other topics before we wrap up the program today we might otherwise not get to. This is, again, the American left driving the agenda in this country. And it just shows you how far this country has fallen in light of traditional values that we used to have. Library of Congress ditches illegal alien subject heading following complaint by illegal aliens. The Library of Congress is ditching the term illegal alien, this is from Media Research Center, in favor of non-citizen and unauthorized immigration after students at Dartmouth University complained about the dehumanizing and offensive term. Apparently it made them sick. They'd throw up, they'd vomit, they couldn't go to class, they were failing, all because they found out that the Library of Congress actually referred to illegal aliens. So because of that, we had to take care of the little snowflakes, the illegal snowflakes, and we had to remove the, quote, offensive term, unquote. It says the library announced its decision to cancel the subject heading illegal alien in a statement last week. According to the student group, the group petitioned the library because, quote, use of illegal aliens is dehumanizing, inaccurate, offensive, and inflammatory term, unquote. Could we just call them criminals? I guess that would be mean too. So from now on, if you're raping, murdering, robbing banks, you know what? We'll do our best to be nice to you. The Library of Congress insists the phrase illegal aliens has taken on a pejorative tone in recent years. Pejorative meaning bad. The Library of Congress had to come up with a really big word. Well, why would, a pejorative term, somebody breaking the law, is that right or wrong? It's wrong. Sneaking across the border in the dark of night, or coming through a tunnel, or in the back of a truck, or the hold of a truck, or swimming a river to do it, you know that's wrong, and you're breaking the law. And if it hurts your feelings that I call you a lawbreaker and a scoundrel and a criminal, I'm sorry, but that's exactly what you are. Therefore, the Library of Congress has decided to cancel and replace the illegal aliens subject heading. President Obama, oh, it's a wonderful idea, and I wonder if you could say that Islam is the world's greatest religion. I don't have to worry about re-election, and therefore it would be a wonderful thing, and we can get all Americans to convert, and that way no one will perform violence against us in the name of Allah. You're next, you're on the air. Oh, close enough. Unfortunately, sometimes people can't hold on. 736-0300. Then I've got this. North Carolina, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, the reptile. That's what a friend of mine calls him. If you ever saw his picture, you'd understand exactly why. North Carolina has decided that people should use the restroom according to the gender listed on their birth certificate. And for that, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has banned all non-essential government travel to the state. In other words, his taxpayers will not be funding junkets any longer down to Charlotte. You got the governor of Georgia who had no stones and backed away from a bill the other day that would have protected clergy from being forced to perform same-sex marriages because the Bible says homosexuality is an abomination. And therefore, they don't do those weddings in some cases. Well, the liberal ones do, who tear the pages out of the Bible and, that think that Christianity is actually a Democrat Party. And now in North Carolina, things are getting incredibly out of hand because now the state said that private industries, private businesses could make their own decisions about having rapists in little girls' rooms. But the attorney general there, Ray Cooper, apparently he must be one of them.
We should not even be here today, but we are. We're here because the governor has signed statewide legislation that puts discrimination into the law.
Oh.
Our office has defended the state, its officials, and agencies when they've been sued. Our office will continue to do that, except it will not defend the constitutionality of the discrimination in House Bill 2.
We're talking about where people pee. I mean, and you've got the NFL and the NBA and Google and all of these big companies threatening these states because they won't go to hell with everybody else. 9:56, you're on the air with Bill Colley on Top Story.
Hi, Bill. I have to commend you for, I think you're trying to get us to think and to speak out. And I want to talk about the reporter that was assaulted by Trump's campaign manager. And you talked about that this morning earlier. And,
yeah, got about a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, in just a minute